I'd like you all to think about a time in your life where you struggled with your learning. Think about the feelings of frustration and anxiety that brought to you. Throughout my life, I've loved learning, really loved it, but always struggled when it came to testing, despite how well I prepared. Over the years, my challenges with testing created an inherent self-belief that I just wasn't smart. I stopped believing in myself and my potential. But that all changed for me in a class my sophomore year in college. This class changed my perspective on how we all learn and how we demonstrate our learning. I prepared for my first exam in this class, as I always had, making flashcards and attending a teacher-led review. Sure enough, I scored poorly on my first exam. My professor, who had led the review, approached me after my class and said, "I know that you know this material, and I'd like to give you another opportunity to show me what you know." So he sent me home to write a paper. I wrote the paper and got an A. Looking back, this was a defining moment in my life. I realized it wasn't a lack of intelligence. Rather, it was how I was being asked to demonstrate what I knew that impacted my definition of intelligence and ultimately my self-esteem. Knowing that this professor believed in me was a game changer and had a profound impact on my decision to become a special ed teacher. As a special educator in public schools, I learned to observe my students through a different lens. I would often dream of creating a program, a school where children couldn't and wouldn't fall through the cracks, a program that would implement specialized and research-based approaches in a sensory-friendly climate, a place where we can support the whole child, the academic, behavioral, and social needs. Soon after relocating to Bozeman, I became aware that services for students with disabilities were somewhat limited. So with the support of my amazing husband, and yes, he is amazing, I rolled the dice, I took a huge leap of faith, and founded the school I had always dreamed of creating. Cottonwood Day School is the first and only private nonprofit school for students with learning disabilities in the entire state of Montana. We've enrolled children from local communities and neighboring states. Our students range in age from 6 to 12. Our core belief is that every single child has the capacity and ability to learn. Our students are in no way disabled. They are simply individuals that need a different way to access their learning. Now, my challenges weren't disability related, but what if they were? According to the National Center for Educational Statistics, 1 out of every 8 students in public schools has a disability. That's a significant number. Think about that one class you struggled with and compound that for every class you've ever taken. Imagine the feelings of frustration and self-defeat knowing that every single thing, everything you tried to learn, was 10 times harder for you than it is for your peers. In order for a child to learn, educators must understand what I call a child's roadblocks and find ways to support the academic, behavioral, and emotional needs so that they can thrive and be successful. Early in my teaching career, I realized that initially it doesn't matter what program or intervention you use. Rather, it is about the connection and the relationship that you develop with your students that serves as the springboard to their learning. A positive student-teacher relationship promotes trust, a willingness to engage, and improves academic performance. Developing these connections with students are even more critical for developing these connections with students with disabilities is even more critical because they face several barriers. According to the National Center for Learning Disabilities, students with disabilities are bullied more often than their peers. They are also more likely to be depressed, lonely, and have poor self-esteem. But I know something they don't. They are resilient. We all are. To tap into that resiliency, we must foster an emotional climate where the child feels comfortable and safe, a place where they can be their true self and not feel badly about what they can and cannot do. Increasing self-esteem and the willingness to engage are critical components to creating intrinsic motivation. When a child is intrinsically motivated, their learning skyrockets, promoting more and more opportunities for success. That belief in self unlocks limitless potential, and amazing things can and do happen. One of our newest students is a 10-year-old boy with autism. When his mother came to tour our program, she shared with us that she just felt like there was so much more that he was capable of doing. She had been told he never learned to read. He's 10. She wasn't willing to accept that. She had also shared that he had been bullied. Knowing his background, we eased him into our program, and we spent the first several weeks building those connections, earning his trust, and filling his bucket. During this time, we discovered his incredible strengths, one of which is an amazing memory. Understanding how his brain is wired enabled us to develop a learning plan specific to his learning style. We implemented a reading program that teaches letters and words using memory and pictures. 6 months later, he is now reading. Yes, he's reading, completing simple math problems, and engaging with his peers in more socially appropriate contexts. He is just one of 19 students that have been success stories over the last 3 years. Imagine what our schools would be like if every teacher had the opportunity to make such connections a priority. Teaching is extremely rewarding, and as a special educator, those rewards are compounded. Our students are more able than non-disabled individuals because they have to work so much harder to find different ways to get things done. If our school with a little red roof didn't exist, our students might not have had such opportunities. Enabling a child to reach their greatest potential is a tremendous gift, and it is one that I am very grateful for. Thank you.